The United States of America, where citizens vote for who they want to lead them. People go to the polls in November and elect who will lead their governments. Simple, right? Well, yes and no. That's the case for most, but not all of our presidents. All 47 presidents, or 45 people who have held the title of president, you can thank Cleveland and Trump for messing up the counting system, all have been chosen by the people, as either president or vice president. All that is, except one. His name, Gerald Ford. Ford became president after Richard Nixon resigned in 1974 due to Watergate.
My fellow Americans, our long national nightmare is over.
How did we get here? Let's rewind. Ford had quite a story before becoming president. A Michigan native, he was a two-time national champion for the University of Michigan football team, even having his number 48 retired. Ford then went on to serve in the United States Navy during World War II. Then it was off to the United States House of Representatives in 1949. He'd serve in the House till 1973 when he was appointed vice president. Ford's ultimate goal was never the presidency or vice presidency. It was to be Speaker of the House. He was elected House Minority Leader in 1965, but Republicans never gained a majority. In fact, by the mid-1970s, he was contemplating retirement, and the next few years the Republicans didn't gain a majority. Ford became vice president when Nixon's first vice president, Spiro Agnew, resigned due to tax evasion relating to a kickback scheme. Other possible choices to be vice president were former Texas Governor John Connally, New York Governor Nelson Rockefeller, and California Governor Ronald Reagan. We'll hear more from him later. The choice was ultimately Ford. He was confirmed 92-3 in the Senate and 387-35 in the House. Even after being chosen as vice president, Ford still planned to finish out his term and then retire. Watergate would change those plans, however. The Watergate break-ins occurred at the Democratic National Committee headquarters in Washington, D.C. in 1972. Over the next months and years, the scandal would gain attention and Nixon's role for covering it up. Ford had not even moved into the vice president's residence when Nixon resigned in August of 1974. With Ford being elevated to the presidency, he became the only person to become president that was not elected either vice president or president.
I am acutely aware that you have not elected me as your president by your ballots. So I ask you to confirm me as your president with your prayers.
Ford would try to earn a term in his own right in 1976. He fended off a challenge from Reagan to win the Republican nomination before losing a close election to Jimmy Carter in the general election. His story was not over though. Ford considered running for president again in 1980 to challenge Carter. However, he decided against it and would support the eventual nominee. Instead of President Ford, Ford was nearly vice president again. After Reagan won the Republican nomination, he considered Ford as a possible running mate. Ford is said to have asked for certain powers and responsibilities, what some people have referred to as co-presidency. However, an agreement was not reached and Reagan chose future President George H.W. Bush. Reagan would go on to win the election against Carter. Ford died in 2006 after years of public service to his country. To this day, he remains the only president not to be chosen by the people. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more history videos and stories. Thanks for watching, and we'll hang out again in our next video.